do it with Miami Dolphins.
The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown.
Throwing deep upfield on the near side, man open, touchdown! Looking deep, he's got a man! Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown. He's in. Touchdown!
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. I hope all of y'all had a fantastic weekend, enjoyed the combine. Whatever it is you did, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was great, and if it was something that was a task, I hope you did it great, and I hope it ended out great. So, welcome all y'all after a Monday that I'm sure all of y'all were dreading, you know, for all y'all that went to work today. Here we are, 7:40 p.m. Eastern, and we got a lot to talk about as per usual. Here's the deal. Tomorrow night, I am going to drop, tomorrow in the evening, I don't know yet, but tomorrow, the running back big board, first big board of the season coming tomorrow night. We've expanded the big board compared to previous years. We've gone from top 10 and 5 honorable mentions to top 10 and 10 honorable mentions. So now I'm going to give you all 20 players, and we're going to start off with running backs because we don't have one under contract. And if you ask me, I think all signs, and I've been saying this recently, I think all signs are indicating to potentially bringing back one of Mostert or Wilson as well as Ahmed and drafting another guy. But there are little birdies chirping about other names, and we're going to get into one of those tonight, being Kareem Hunt, which, if you go back, Kareem Hunt is someone I mentioned after the trade deadline. If you were a Patreon or a channel member, you got the update. I believe it was November 2nd. Was that update? Yes, it was November 2nd. And if you remember that update, one of the last lines in that update was, I was told the Dolphins did check in on the Kareem Hunt situation, but his extension asking price was higher than Miami was willing to go at the time. So we're going to get into that. What's changed? Is there an advocator in the building now that's changing things as well? We're going to talk about all of that tonight in just a little bit. We're going to talk about, we got a lot of Tua stuff to talk about. We're going to go over, Rich Eisen said a couple things today, not just about Tua, but a couple things. So we'll talk about that. And the morning started off with, we saw it with Fangio. Are we seeing it again with Tua? South Florida sources continue to refute that the Dolphins are moving off of Tua, just like they continued to refute Fangio was fielding other offers and wasn't going to be the Dolphins defensive coordinator, and when people were trying to say, stop, he didn't agree. And all the South Florida people, we stood our ground from everything we were hearing. Whether you were working for the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Herald, or a YouTuber like me. So, are we getting into another one of those wars, or is it like what I alluded to last week? Are we just in the process of the cycle of negotiations? Interesting to find out, because I'm going to tell you one thing. I kept warning y'all about Athletes First. I kept warning each and every one of you about Athletes First, right? His new agency. They got Watson all the guaranteed money. You want a real go check out who Daniel Jones' new agents are. Go check out who the ones pushing for over $45 million are. Just saying. and he left CAA, right? He left Creative Artist Agency, and he joined with Athletes First to maximize this contract. So, listen, all this Lamar stuff, all this other quarterback stuff we'll get into tonight, always have it in your back of the mind. The Dolphins have established themselves with past Brady rumors, and I've been telling you for over a year, no one has been ahead of the Lamar Jackson curve more than me. I've been telling y'all, I warned you before the season started that this was going to happen in the offseason. I literally warned you. That's why no one should be surprised in my comment section. Y'all were warned multiple times, like 9 months ago. And then even before that, I was telling y'all info on what was going down. Man, I was telling people I was telling people when we got Tyreek Hill that this man was at a Jimmy Seafoods telling anyone that would listen to him when the day right after we got Tyreek Hill, anyone that would listen to him, I would go down to Miami and win with those boys. That's exactly what he was telling people. I would go win a chip with them. But let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. First of all, the Ravens are playing it smart. They're going to hit him with the non-exclusive tag. Okay? The non-exclusive tag. And they're going to let another team set the market. If the contract he signs is up their alley, they'll sign him. If it's not, they're going to go get the 2 first-round picks, or they'll work out a deal. And, I see people trying to say, well, on draft night, we can trade more picks. You can only trade 1 more year of picks at draft night. And the Ravens want now. Look at where that team's built. You think they're going to sit around and wait? They're going to try and go get someone ASAP. They are going to want first-round picks right away so they can make a play in this draft for someone. Watch. That's exactly what they want to do. But let's go even further than that. Let's take all that stuff out of the... Where is this fallacy coming from that Lamar Jackson instantly makes us a contender? Can someone explain this to me? Are we talking about an MVP season that happened how many years ago? Are we holding on to an MVP season from 4 years ago? Aren't y'all Tua haters that are advocating for Lamar? Aren't you the same ones who say Dolphin fans who believe, or Tua stands are holding on to a national championship play that happened like 4 years ago? Well, a little bit of hypocrisy, huh? But I saw people trying to throw out stats from 2022, September 26, 2022. So that tells you what? That's 3 games into the new 2022 season. Well, 88% of his passes in the first 3 weeks came from the pocket, and he completed 66% of them. Really? How did that work out beyond week 3 of 2022? Then on top of that, everyone can agree, whether you believe in Tua or not, that he has durability concerns. You want to move off one guy with durability concerns for another guy with durability concerns who plays, quite frankly, a higher impact game and a lesser shelf life style of game in Lamar Jackson, and you want to guarantee him over $200 million? Are you insane? Because that's what people don't realize. This is like he wants a Deshaun Watson type of guarantee here. That's what people... And this is him and his mama coming for the bag. They rep themselves. But tell me how he makes us an instant contender. Because of an MVP he won 4 years ago? How did that MVP work out for the Baltimore Ravens? Do they have an AFC championship to work with? Last I checked, they had a top 5 tight end in Mark Andrews. Say what you want about Rashad Bateman and Marquise Brown. They've been continuously trying to get receiver weapons for him. They've always given him a top 10 offensive line. Look at the amount of resources they've spent going back to Mark Ingram at the running back position. And he's never even sniffed an AFC championship. Hasn't even sniffed one. And you want to guarantee a guy, oh, he won an MVP 4 years ago. The NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. I've been saying this since 2019. That's why all of y'all were so harsh on Tua, wasn't it? What have you done for me lately, Tua? Well, guess what? I'll tell you what he done for you lately. He beat Lamar in Baltimore in one of the most epic comebacks in Dolphins history. And on top of that, say what you will, say what you want. Analytics, film, it don't lie. Just because you can't read the analytics properly or just because you don't know how to break down film doesn't mean it's lying. Tua was a better quarterback this year when Lamar was healthy and you compare them. In fact, it wasn't even close. One was in the MVP conversation. The other one, again, like the AFC Championship, never even sniffed it. It's not like we're 4 years removed from his MVP and he's still in MVP conversations. In fact, if you want to go off recent history, it seems the tides have turned. Looks like Lamar's MVP days might be behind him, and Tua's MVP days, if he are in front of him. And both are contingent on them staying healthy, because both have durability issues. I'm not trying to hear about what someone did in 2019. Just like even us who believe in Tua, we're not trying to hear about what he did in Alabama anymore. The same thing. I don't care what Lamar did in 2019. All that does is give him a bargaining chip to drive up his price that, quite frankly, isn't relevant, let alone paralleling his current play. He won the MVP in 2019. Since then, how many games has he played? In fact, he's played less games than Tua over the last 2 years. If you really want to start breaking down math here. And hasn't developed as the passer. Just saying. But I'm supposed to believe guaranteeing him over $200 million, a guy who can't stay on the field either. Listen, I believe in Tua. And I'm even, hesitant on giving him his fifth-year option. What do you think I would think about giving Lamar Jackson $200 million? You'd have to be a lunatic right now. And y'all are the same camp that told us to go get Watson. And look at how much money he got guaranteed. How'd that work out for the Browns, even when he did play? Even when he did play. Lamar Jackson is not what he was in 2019. That's why he hasn't won an MVP since. That's why he hasn't even sniffed a deep playoff run. But y'all you want to guarantee him over. Thank God you idiots are not running my team. That's all I got to say. Because I believe in Tua's ceiling, and I don't even want to I'm hesitant on giving him a fifth year. Because of his durability concerns. Giving $200+ million guaranteed to a guy who can't stay on the field, that's bad business. That is bad business. And on top of that, you got to give up draft picks. One of the greatest football minds ever, Bill Parcells. What's his one rule? Never double dip. And we've already done it twice in the last 365 days. We've already double dipped for Tyreek and we've double dipped for Bradley Chubb. We all love Tyreek, but half of y'all are continue to bitch daily about Bradley Chubb because you don't know how to watch the game and you only know how to stat line watch and see the sack numbers. If there ain't a sack, he doesn't impact the game. Without realizing pressures and such and the nuances of the position. But I'm supposed to believe all of y'all that guaranteeing $200 million to a guy that ain't won an MVP or played at a high level like that in 4 years and ain't ever won jack shit on top of that. But sure, let's go guarantee him $200 million. Are you crazy? Like, I gotta ask, are you dumb? Are you that stupid? Is your agenda so driven for Tua that you'd be willing to put this franchise in that kind of a hole financially? What's crazy is you'd need there's no way you'd guarantee him that amount of money because you'd need a lot of the same type of performance bonuses you'd be giving Tua in terms of games played, etc. You'd be lacing Lamar's contract with. Lamar Jackson is not a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. Lamar Jackson is a better athlete than Tua Tagovailoa. There's a difference. If Lamar Jackson was a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa, why didn't he finish them off last year? Why did we walk into their house and come back like that? Why didn't he finish us off? He had that big of a lead. Why didn't he finish us off? If he's that big of a quarterback, good of a quarterback, why couldn't he figure out cover zero until about 8 minutes left of play in the year before in 2021 in prime time, and Tua outperformed him in just a half of football? If he's that good of a quarterback, why was Tua in the MVP conversation this year and not Lamar? They were both hurt in this games, so you can't even say injury. Explain to me. Explain to me. Not blaming Lamar. Why can't you pick it up? Look at how quickly other quarterbacks have adjusted. I've literally shown footage when I showed the Fangio defense. Look at a guy like Roethlisberger when he up against the line. Roethlisberger was deciphering what he was seeing and making adjustments. And then he actually had a positive play on what I showed. And I used him as an example of, look at intelligent quarterbacks who watch the film, who are coached well, they can decipher. How long Lamar been in the league for now? Because I've seen other quarterbacks pick up the cover zero. With short slants. Steady. Get the ball out as quickly as you can. Boom, boom. They ID it. See? All of y'all who said we were making excuses for Tua, look at the excuses start to come out now. Well, the defense cost him that game. Blah, 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 blah. Buddy, when you're up the way you're up, you're excusing the offense for not finishing the job when they had the type of lead they had? How many points did the offense put up in the second half? Not more than us. Elite quarterbacks can get into shootouts and they win them, don't they? That's what I thought happened. Because all of y'all told me Tua was an elite and he couldn't do stuff like that. Last I checked, he did. Oh, it's a defense. Oh, the defense didn't score enough points for the offense too, who was already giving us the work in the first half. But okay, it's the defense. See? My, how the tables have turned, huh? Y'all will make excuses when it's someone you want or someone to fit your narrative. You'll make all the excuses in the world for them. But when someone adds context to a situation, it's labeled as an excuse. The hypocrisy is so real and it's so easy to see. Let me ask you this. Has Lamar Jackson ever put a stat line up like Tua did against the Ravens? Someone let me know. Let me know. Has Lamar ever had a game as a passer where he's put up that stat line? As a passer. Don't give me no rushing. Let me know as a passer. Because I've already said Lamar's a better athlete than Tua. But when it comes to playing the quarterback position, sorry. Tua is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. In fact, isn't Tua kind of Lamar's daddy right now when you go from head to head? Huh? Isn't he kind of his daddy now when you go head to head? Tua's 2-0 and has a far better stat line. In his last 2 games, he's turned into Lamar's daddy. Ouch. But let's go guarantee him more than $200 million, a guy who can't stay on the field as well. Sure. 4 years removed from an MVP, sure. Bro, you guys must be the same type of people that, girlfriend breaks up with you. Oh, I need her back. I want her. Dude, it's been 4 years. She broke up with you 4 years ago. Get over it. She's moved on. I need it. Lamar ain't been playing at MVP level for 2 years now. But sure. Let's go guarantee him over $200 million. So where in the next 2, we really turn it into like a 1 year, max 2 year window. And then we got to start shipping everyone off. And people out here, well, I like Tua, but he's inconsistent. What do you think Lamar is? I can tell you've never watched Lamar. I can literally tell a lot of y'all just stat line watch and actually don't watch Lamar. It's unbelievable. I can literally... Lamar Jackson is not Michael Vick, people. I don't know what to tell you. Look at how good of a passer Michael Vick became when he came back. Look how good of a pocket passer he became. And even he was a better passer even when he was really with the Falcons. He was a better passer than Lamar was. They both have really strong arms, but Vic was more accurate, especially on the run. We're not talking about Michael Vick here. And we're also talking a guy who his body is telling you right now it's breaking down with the style of play he's playing. And you want to guarantee that $200 million? That's ludicrous. I believe in Tua, but even I'm hesitant on giving Tua a 5th-year option. Why? Because I don't know if his body can hold up yet. I got the same questions, durability questions I got for Tua that I got for Lamar. But what? One guy won an MVP 4 years ago? A lot's happened in 4 years, including him not playing at that MVP level anymore, and the league's figuring him out a little bit. At least Tua was in the MVP conversation last year. They both missed games, but one was in the MVP conversation, the other was not. And it's about what have you done for me lately, not what you did 4 years ago. Because that was clearly lightning in a bottle that year. We have not seen that every year since with Lamar Jackson. And again, hasn't even sniffed an AFC championship, let alone a Super Bowl. But y'all are trying to convince me 200 plus million to him puts us over the top. Get a grip. Get a grip. Nope. Don't see it. I don't see the I'll tell you this much. I think you got a better chance of Tom Brady coming here than Lamar Jackson. Let me put it that way. And I don't think Brady's coming here either. Lamar wants to come here. I've been saying that for over a year, but it's not about what Lamar wants. People also need to remember that. So, and Ozzie Newsome did come out and say they're going to tag him no matter what. So we'll see how that all works out. But I just don't see it. And then quickly at the combine, did y'all see my boys Darnell Wright? Well, let's start off with Darnell Wright. That boy Darnell Wright. That man is an absolute monster. Absolute monster. So you can tell people that is the most incorrect statement ever. If you actually look at, want me to show you how wrong you are? I got you. If you actually look at Tua's biggest struggles in game, they've been against what defense? The defense we're about to run. Let me educate you. Let me show you how ball works, because clearly not a lot of you know it, let alone ever played it at any kind of level. Why was Tua Tagovailoa so good against man? Why is he so good against the blitz? Why is he so good against aggressive defenses? Why? What did he see in practice for 3 years? Under the Flores regime, what did he see for 3 years? Why is he perfect against Belichick? What defense did he see in practice for 3 years? So, back to what I just said. Tua's biggest struggle since his rookie season. In that rookie season, Denver, LA. What's the tie? Staley, Fangio's protege, was the DC of the Rams, while Fangio ran the Broncos. Now, you want to go as recent as this year? DeMeco Ryans with the 49ers, as well as, guess what? There's that name again, Brandon Staley with the Chargers. His two biggest struggles. Same defense Fangio fathered. So now that defense is what he's going to be going up against for the next 3 years with a team fourth-year option in practice daily. That's the defense. McDaniel has already talked about how Fangio and him sat there and talked about his defense, why he does certain things, when he does certain things, and how he'll do certain things. You don't think he's passing them off to his quarterback when 11 teams, and there's only 32 in the NFL, so more than a third of the league runs that style of that defense. Tua now has the cheat codes. Tua has the father. So no, the league has not figured out Tua. In fact, you're about to find out that we just scraped the surface with Tua's potential last year. Because this is the defense that highlights his struggles. And he's going to learn how to beat it. Why do you think Fangio was scouting for the offense and not for the defense? Why do you think that is? When he was with Philadelphia, why do you think he was scouting Kansas City's defense as opposed to their offense? That shows you. Not only will he install your defense to beat offenses, he will help you in any which way to beat other defenses. And he's one of the best defensive minds. He's a top 5 defensive mind in the NFL right now. You might even be able to stretch it to 3. So no. welcome to how football works. Just saying. Welcome. This is how it works. This is why Tua was already looking at, not just Tua, Tyreek and Waddle. We're already looking at potentially being a part of a historic offense in year 2 because usually, again, learn ball, if you've ever played it or you've ever watched it intently, or just if you know it, usually second years of an offense, right? Everyone's way more familiar with the terminology, with how things work, especially with our offensive line. You got a lot of guys coming from gap stuff. Now they're more, this is Tua's first time being in a second-year offense since high school. So we were already expecting a leap from everyone in year 2 without Fangio getting brought into the building. But now we just brought in the godfather of what 11 teams in the NFL run. Are you kidding me? And Tua's already shown you he can beat man. He can beat the blitz. He can beat the pressure. No issue. So it's when he gets to, it's when teams start taking away that middle of the field and start forcing him to third and fourth. And the other thing he needs to clean up is actually on him. When you see him forcing his first read, it's usually because he feels like he needs to force the play. And then when you see him at his best, he's letting the play come to him. So he needs to get that mentality out of like, okay, even if we're down, let the game keep coming to you. Don't force the game. He can find himself a victim of that, and that's how you can get some turnovers from him. And he needs to clean that up. That's on him. But Fangio's going to clean up a lot of the stuff you see that still lingers in terms of how he processes. So that's how it works, man. That's how it works. Trust me, Fangio's going to be in on those meetings, especially when they play guys who are running his defense. Especially. I guarantee you. All right, let's get into it here, man. Let's keep it going with Tua. So everyone was wilding out about Josina Anderson, and we've been waiting for an Adam Schefter or an Ian Rapoport, someone like that, to say something. And this is what this is what he had to say today, and, here we go.
I would be a little surprised, not doubting anyone's information, would not want to make Josina mad. I would be a little surprised if the Dolphins were shopping for a starting quarterback. I would expect them to add to the quarterback room. I would be surprised, based on what I know, if they were looking for anyone besides Tua to be their starter. The fifth-year option is one thing. Daniel Jones got his fifth-year option declined, and the Giants are still working on a long-term deal that would pay him a lot of money, probably something that starts with a 4. So fifth-year option is a business decision, but I expect Tua to be their starter. The Raiders and Garoppolo make some sense. If the Jets don't get
I want to say this too. Guys, Carr and Geno Smith's extensions today helped us as well. I don't know if you guys saw, but Geno Smith was 3 years, $105 million. And, Derek Carr's extension, first of all, I can't believe he signed. I can't believe he went to the Saints. But he signed for $150 over 4 years. So he's coming in about $37.5 million. Both these guys are like $37.5 million. Like, Daniel Jones is screwed. There's no way Daniel Jones is making over $45 million now. He's nuts. Tuition paid, thanks for the work. Hey, man, congratulations on paying your tuition. Are you talking to me, or did you actually finish paying off your tuition? Because if you actually finished paying off your actual tuition, that's absolutely huge. And, I applaud you, man. That takes some people a long, long time. And if you actually did, shout out to you. Now, you're paying the tuition because I'm taking people to school, then, hey, I appreciate that as well. But I will applaud you if you did actually do your tuition. Bro, y'all got to be more specific. You don't be killing me here. But I appreciate you, right, Matthew. Consistent supporter of the show. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Matthew. Always holding me down, man. I appreciate people like you, man. Appreciate all of y'all. So, I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. Don't be surprised when Tua does not break the bank. We saw Armstead not break the bank, and that was a guy who, when he's healthy, he's top 3 at his position. Now, Tua was in the MVP conversation when he was healthy this year, but at the end of the day, he didn't win the MVP, okay? Just like, so Armstead, he's been an all-pro. He's been a Pro Bowler. And we all thought that was going to be 18 to 21, 22 million, and he came below that. I don't think, and now with Carr's money, and now with Geno's money, right? Because Geno had a really good year last year. Listen, it don't matter when you hit your ceiling as long as you do. And he had a really good year last year. So, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You pay him, Tua ain't going to break the bank like people. Now, you might go get athletes first thinking he's going to break the bank. I just don't see it happening. I literally just don't see it happening. Speaking of free agency, if you aren't yet, go become a Patreon or become a channel member. I just had a update a couple days ago. There was Lamar Jackson information in there. There was an agent war brewing information in there. I had some information on free agency. I had a Jerome Baker tidbit, a safety's name who keeps popping up. That's not Poyer. So go check it out if you haven't yet. And also expect the new episode of 3 Takes Thursday to be coming this week. So, then, what happened? Early in the morning, I showed you that to show you this because I'll show you the most reputable guy first. Earlier in the morning, what had happened was Armando Salguero, who I've admitted, and I got to be objective, I've admitted a couple years ago in the draft he was used as a patsy. Every day was a new quarterback we were drafting with Armando. But anyways, with Outkick, he just dropped this article this morning, and I don't know how many people have seen it. Dolphins not moving in a different direction from Tua Tagovailoa, sources insist. Last week was like many others for the Miami Dolphins since Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer joined forces as the team's head coach and general manager, in that they profess their unambiguous commitment to Tua Tagovailoa as... I need a drink. Sorry. Unambiguous. There you go. McDaniel talked about the Dolphins and Tagovailoa both sharing a future. And Greer told reporters Tagovailoa remains the team's quarterback going forward, and the club is excited about that. That's why multiple people within the organization were surprised by CBS report Friday, repeated on a national website Saturday, that the Dolphins are exploring all their options at quarterback, including moving in a different direction from Tua. So let's be clear here. The Dolphins are telling Outkick they are planning for Tua Tagovailoa to remain their starter in 2023, and one source called the idea that the club is exploring going in a different direction fundamentally not true. And that, again, if you go to my Patreon update or my channel member update, I told all y'all the word I was getting from people who are on the floor there, it's different than what Eisen said, and it lines up with what Armando is saying. Right? And I had that update a couple days ago. So this was before Armando, what Armando's hearing. I had people in the combine telling me they were hearing rumblings about the Dolphins and quarterback, but strictly from a backup standpoint. So, go figure. So there's that. So now let's peel back some layers on this, because the topic, a team looking to replace a 3-year starting quarterback who just delivered his best, albeit injury-plagued season, is a huge story for any team. It is true the Dolphins are doing much diligence on the quarterback position now, including with Tagovailoa. Secondly, the Dolphins have work to do and decisions to make on Tagovailoa's contract future. The Dolphins need and intend to add a veteran quarterback to be Tua's backup, and even italicized backup, for 2023. So, as a former first-round pick entering his fourth season, Tagovailoa is eligible to get a contract extension. The club is also able to exercise a fifth-year option on him that would cost approximately $23 million for the 2024 season, thus giving the club 2 years of contract control over the player. And because Tagovailoa suffered 2 concussions last season that forced him to miss 5 games, including a playoff start, the Dolphins have a lot to think about before making either commitment. It's much more likely the club opts to exercise the fifth-year option on it. Sorry, it's much more likely the club opts to exercise the fifth-year option by the May 1st deadline than sign Tua Tagovailoa to an extension. Indeed, a multi-year extension would be almost surprising at this stage, but none of that suggests the Dolphins are going to be replacing Tagovailoa next season. The truth is that only makes sense if Miami can land Aaron Rodgers. Consider, firstly, the Dolphins don't have a first-round pick to invest on any of the rookie quarterback class, so they wouldn't find themselves high enough in the April draft to pick a quarterback to challenge Tagovailoa. Secondly, there's only a couple of veteran quarterbacks who may perhaps become available that could be an upgrade over Tagovailoa. Those two are Rodgers, if he decides to play, and then Derek Carr, because this was this morning and he's gone. Jimmy Garoppolo is not an upgrade at this stage and comes with significant durability issues of his own. The Dolphins so far have not dipped into the Rodgers market, and neither has anyone else because Rodgers remains a mystery. One supposes there is a long shot, very unlikely at this stage, possibility Dolphins owner Stephen Ross might be hatching a quarterback plan none of Miami's football people are privy to yet. It's happened before with Tom Brady and Ross meeting on yachts and hatching possible plans. That didn't go exactly as planned and cost the Dolphins picks in the next 2 drafts, so one might imagine Ross has learned his lesson about NFL tampering. If Rodgers becomes available, Ross might ask his football people to chase Rodgers. The club owner loves big names player and he really hates losing to the Jets, so that might be a wild idea in Miami. But that's not a plan. That's a long shot purchase of a lottery ticket. So barring that scenario, which the Dolphins currently have no plans for, Tagovailoa remains a Dolphin starter, just as the football people insist. Both parties, McDaniel said, really want Tua Tagovailoa to play at a high level for a long time for the Miami Dolphins. So, I mean, he's not even talking about Lamar. This man's talking about, his idea. Look at who his idea is. This man's idea is, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about this man's idea is Rodgers, who even he admits is a long shot that's not going to happen. So, I don't know. I don't think it's happening. I've been told privately the same. Tua is the starter. So, don't know what to tell all of y'all that are really sad and hoping that he's gone. Tua is going. They're going to give Tua the 4th year no matter what. The question is whether they're going to give him the 5th year option. That should tell everyone where their mind's at. They're not considering moving him off in the 4th year. The big question they're asking, and all the people in South Florida asking, is about the 5th year, not about a 4th year. So we'll see. And I do want to keep you guys updated. Shifting back to the combine for a sec before we get into Kareem Hunt here. I do want to keep all of y'all updated on the combine. And so with that, I want everyone here, I want y'all to see this. This is the updated list of every known public confirmed combine meeting for the Miami Dolphins. You can see heavy in the corners. all the way from Keely Ringo, Cam Smith, Clark Phillips, Tyreek Stevenson, Emmanuel Forbes, Julius Brents, Miles Brooks, Alex Austin, just heavy known. They've met with Jordan Battle, Sidney Jones in terms of safeties. Linebackers, Trenton Simpson, Noah Sewell, DeMarvion Overshone, and remember, Jack Campbell would not tell anyone who he's met with. So it looks like they're meeting with all the top linebackers, which screams to me. Let's talk about tight end for a sec here. Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft. I've been told that, take it seriously, they are considering a tight end with one of their first 3 picks. I'm led to believe linebacker, cornerback, and tight end are on the menu for the first 3 picks. So I've been told, take it seriously. And another guy whose name rose, and I know they're very interested in, is Zach Kuntz. And he had a very, very, very impressive combine. In fact, he's from Old Dominion. All right, we're talking about 6'7", 255, and he had the best relative athletic score ever since 1987. This man at 6'7" ran a 4.55, had a 1.57 10-yard split. Unbelievable stuff. Over a 10-foot broad jump, 10'8" broad jump, a 40-inch vertical. I know Zach Kuntz is someone, and he made himself a lot of money. And I know everyone loves Darnell Washington, and Darnell Washington had himself a day 2. And I do not think he's going to make it out of day 1 because of the day he had at the combine. But watch a name like Zach Kuntz. Tucker Kraft is a guy I know they like too. Sam Laporta too. So we'll see. There's a good tight end class when you add in Dalton Kincaid as well and Luke Musgrave. It's a good tight end class. Some other guys they met: Sean Tucker, Devin A-Chain. They are both in my top 5 of my big board that'll be dropping tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that. We'll be doing strictly the big board. I'll be doing all 22 of my top 5 players. I'll be giving you 20 names in order of my preference of how they fit. They also met with Kenny McIntosh, Deuce Vaughn, Zach Evans, Cam Jones out of Appalachian State. They met with John Michael Schmitz, and shout out to that interior lineman Voorhees out of USC. He's an absolute stud, and he hurt himself. Man, he's going to slip, but when he gets healthy, some good team is going to get a guy a little bit later and might not get the year 1 production they wanted or they dreamed about. But that kid, he has a really high upside. And then also Anthony Bradford. Now, I know Darnell Wright, guys, I mean, he had such a crazy day on his combine. Like, it was unbelievable. And he's gone. Like, ain't no way he's coming. That man ran at 333 pounds, 6'5", ran a 5.0140. That man had a 9'7" broad, 29 vert, which is okay. Had a really good 20-yard split and a good 10-yard split as well. That man had a ridiculous, has 33.75-inch arms. I mean, Darnell Wright, it's over. He ain't coming. But people keep asking me, other names, reason, other guys who are right tackle. Well, a guy who had a really good combine too, Tyler Steen from Alabama. Now, he played left tackle, but he started off as a right tackle at Bama. So that's a name to watch. You got Javon Foster out of Missouri, Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. He played right tackle in 2019. And I like him as a prospect. You got Warren McClendon from Georgia and Jordan McFadden from Clemson as well. He played right tackle in 2020. So you got some guys in this draft who can shift to right tackle because they played it somewhat at the collegiate level. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But those are the updated, official, known to the public. Those are all the players that we have met with, known to the public. And I'm sure that list will grow as the weeks go on and more leaks do come out. Now, I want to get into Kareem Hunt here for a sec. The reason why I want to talk about Kareem Hunt is because I was told, and I had a Patreon post November 2nd, that we checked in on him and we just didn't like the extension price he was asking for. And because of his extension price, that priced us out of making a move for him. So I'm going to show you this. Take this with the biggest grain of salt, what I'm about to show you, but I'm starting to see things here, and then I'm going to tell you something I heard. So, NFL rumors, who are known to just repost people's stuff, and they're not the most accurate, on March 4th, they posted the Dolphins are expected to show interest in Kareem Hunt. Now, that would make sense lined up just based on, them checking in at the trade deadline on him, right? And, and then they pivoted to, obviously, Jeff Wilson on the cheap. So, someone sent me that, and I was like, it's NFL rumors. Whatever. You know what I mean? NFL rumors are the worst, And then I saw this. Watch this right here. Join the Dolphins.
Yo,
Dear
Bird,
NFL, I hope this isn't considered tampering. Join the Dolphins. And I know that's probably a Dolphin fan out in the wild going up there and buying him, bottle service and having that delivered. But I also heard, and take this, I heard this. I've heard Tyreek Hill is advocating for Kareem Hunt. I've actually heard this since during the season when they needed a running back. That was one of the reasons they looked into him. I have heard Tyreek Hill is privately advocating for Kareem Hunt. Now, I don't mean he's like every day banging on, but I heard he suggested, Kareem can do that. So, we'll see. We'll see. He's got a lot of tread left on those tires because of his usage. At the end of the day, I don't know if I expect him to go the Kareem Hunt unless it makes sense financially. I expect them to bring back Ahmed and then either Wilson or Mostert and then draft a guy. That's what I expect. Now, I think if they can get a guy in this offense who can be a game changer at the right price, but if you go check out my Patreon update, you'll see why I think that. Right? Because one thing I've been told, quantity over quality. So, and I'm not talking about the running back position. I'm talking about in general. So, they're not looking to break the bank. And you can go check out the update. I mean, they even spoke about one free agent that we all want that I've heard, they're willing to go for him at a reasonable price. They're not willing to break the bank. They want him and they want to add him, but they're not willing to break the bank. So that's on the Patreon. That's on, if you're a channel member, that's on the community tab. So there you go. Hunt, I think there are people we checked in on him, man. I know for a fact we checked in on him in November. I think at the right price, the Dolphins would be very interested in bringing Kareem Hunt to Miami. I do believe that. And the reason why I keep talking about, bringing back Jeff Wilson. I mean, look at Jeff Wilson. I got two things to show you here from Jeff Wilson. Joe Shad tweeted out that Jeff Wilson said on Sports Extra on Fox that he hopes it's very likely he'll return to the Dolphins, and he has signed with Drew Rosenhaus, and we know Drew Rosenhaus gets it done with the Dolphin deals. And then shout out to Jeff Mosher. He's a South Floridian news reporter. He posted this clip of Jeff Wilson.
I would love to be back. I want to be back. I love everything about the organization, the city. It's all been a blessing. So to stay there and continue to be there and not have to go to another place and relearn and re-meet everybody all over again would be a major blessing because I love it there and I feel like they love having me there.
Honestly, I think at the right price, they'd run back with all three of them and draft a guy. And the media's been setting this up. We've been following the Patreon. I've been literally weary of going all in on, I would love a Saquon Barkley, but I've been weary of going all in on running back. You know what I mean? Just because, and I've been pretty adamant that why do you think I've been pretty adamant that this draft is deep? Because that's where I've been getting the sense they're going to look for an addition to that room, not spending big cash. I think the majority of our money will be spent on tweaking the defense to Fangio's preference, and they'll sprinkle some money maybe on the offensive line and at retaining guys at running back. And obviously filling out the receiver room. So we'll see. But, I do think though, if Kareem Hunt says, man, I'll come there for $6-7 million, there's a good chance they'll sign Kareem Hunt for sure. Right? I do think that's a definite possibility. But if Hunt's starting to talk about like 9, 10, 11 million a year, yeah, hit the bricks, kid. Even I think they'd cringe a little bit at 8. 5 to 7 feels like the sweet spot for me. Rich Eisen came back from the combine. He had some interesting things to say. Both about the quarterback position. One of them you would expect. Another one we've heard before. What did you have to say? Let's play it.
There is more tea spilled at the combine, and people are so eager to do it. It's nonstop talk. You see him at the combine. You see him in restaurants. You see him at the bar. You see him at midnight. You see him all over the place. A little coffee, a little this. You got a breakfast. You got a dinner. Everyone is everywhere, and it's spilled. And I compiled a list of things that I heard for a top 5 list of rumors I've heard at the combine. And I want to let you know before I get to it that what I put on this list, with the exception of the very last one, if you will, one more, I heard from multiple people, which is why they're on the list. Okay?
You get double sources.
Of people just whispering, and I have no idea if any of this is 100% factual, which is what I like to say normally into this microphone. I feel like I've got my journalism degree now covered with me giving this long-winded caveat to trafficking in rumor, but I'm going to dive into the mosh pit to give you an idea of the stuff that I heard in Indianapolis.
You're like Varys. The birdies are just talking.
Correct. Hit it. My top 5 rumors I heard at the 2023 Scouting Combine. Just made the list. Here we go. Number 5 on the list. We all know 2 teams that were quarterback needy at the end of the season, starting third stringers, and had a chance to go to the playoffs and maybe make a deep run in the playoffs.
Over 500
referring to the Miami Dolphins,
like
and of course the San Francisco 49ers. I heard at the Combine, number 5 on this list.
You heard
that Phillip Rivers contacted both of them to come back late last year.
Oh, Phillip called them?
Phillip Rivers
I would have ran with
contacted both of them, is what I heard, and that's the way I heard it. Wow. To see if they would come, and didn't happen. Don't know why it didn't happen, but I heard that at the Combine, that Phillip, once his season was over, is kind of like,
I wonder if his arm is a little
going with Mr.
somewhere else.
Irrelevant?
You guys need me?
And, all right, Florida's right next door to Alabama. You Dolphins need somebody to sidearm wing it and dadgummit down the field with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I can do that for you.
3 picks.
That one I feel like actually could have worked.
I heard that.
Brock Purdy was playing too well. But
at the Combine.
That's in Miami.
I figured, nice little juicy tea to start off the list here.
If Rivers' arm wasn't shot,
number 1, I heard from a couple people,
Thompson.
and I figured, let me make it number 1 because it involves the GOAT.
I'll go
number
over all
1
this
rumor I heard at the Combine, not in terms of a lot of yacht chatter, but this one just blew my mind. Tom Brady may not be done after all.
What?
Look at that
A couple
picture.
people are like, just
He's starting to look like Ronaldo.
Wait for
and I'm
what?
like, I'm like, he's Instagramming out videos of his cat.
Ronaldo with Jim Carrey's chin
Yeah.
and me,
He was at
myself, and
UFC
Irene.
over the weekend.
I know, but it doesn't look like he's getting big and fat, does it? And that he just let it play out. Let's see who wants what. And the one place that folks are saying keep an eye out for is Miami. And if the Dolphins cannot somehow, if they get somehow, some way, a doctor's report, a piece of information from a medical evaluation of Tua that he may not be ready to go, and suddenly there's Tom Brady sitting in
He's already been
Florida,
cleared, Rich.
where his family is located and where he can easily locate himself. Keep an eye on that, I was told by a couple of birdies.
So, the Phillip Rivers thing. Now, if Phillip Rivers' arm wasn't like if it had recovered with some rest and it wasn't shot like we had seen in his last year of play, then he's an upgrade over Skylar Thompson. But if his arm was as shot as we saw in his last year, then no, yeah, I would have passed on that too. Number 2 for me there, the Brady thing. I personally don't. I think that stuff's dead in the water. Right? I think I mean, like let's just be objective here, right? You know, who was the catalyst for the whole Brady thing? It wasn't Stephen Ross. It wasn't Stephen Ross. Remember, the whole catalyst is gone. It was Bruce Beal. Bruce Beal is the one who has the relationship with Tom Brady. Now, if Tua gets hurt in the season, or they're moving off Tua mid-season because he gets hurt and he's out for the season, and they say, okay, enough of this, maybe Brady comes out of retirement. But Brady, you know, unless something catastrophic to Tua happens before the season starts, Brady ain't going to be our starting quarterback. Right? The whole catalyst is gone. It was Bruce Beal was the link. He got replaced in the succession plan. It's now Ross's daughter. So I'm just saying. And that's old news. That's nothing new. We've heard that song and dance. You know, that's one where we've heard it so much where it's like, okay, it's not happening. Just roll your eyes and move it. But I still think it's got a better chance of Tom Brady being the starting quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Put it that way, and I don't think that one's happening either. So that shows you how little I think of the chance of Lamar coming here. So we'll see. And plus Brady's like over 45 now. Are we really gonna start dabbling with a 46, going on a 47-year-old guy? Like, come on, let's get real here. I'd rather draft a guy. Jesus, move up and draft Hendon Hooker if you want to draft an older guy. At least he's got an upside. He's 25, but he got some upside. Jeez. All right, and finally here, you know, we played him on the show. I had to play him because he had a little bit out, all these people and their takes on Tua's concussion. Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc. Remember, he was with the Chargers. He was with the Chargers when Phillip Rivers was there. He was the head team doctor for the Chargers when Phillip Rivers was there for the Chargers for like 12 years. So let's see what he had to say today on Pat McAfee, because he really wasn't having the people doubting.
To get the explanation of the holding call. Why can't they talk to the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant or Dr. Sills and hear it immediately, say, this is what happened, it really was his back, and this is why. So I get why people are worried about it. In the big picture, Tua's had 2 documented concussions this season. A lot of people say 3. I get why you would say 3. But, you know, Mitch Morris, center for the Bills, has had 6 total concussions in his career and has come back and continued to play. Kenny Pickett had 2 this season, has continued to play. Tight end for the Steelers, their new young tight end, has had a couple of concussions.
That's his name. He is a dog. How many's he had? Oh, Doc, I fucked it up. That's his name, Friar Muth. We all have to yell his name. Yeah. Like that's Muth. That we apologize. We messed that up. That's a lot of concussions for those guys, huh, Doc?
Yeah, and look, I think one concussion, especially a bad one, is too many, and I'm not advocating it. Look, if Tua asked me, and he hasn't, what's the best thing to do for my brain? I'd say quit playing the collision sport of football. But I'd say that for everybody. But to single Tua out to say you can't play anymore, well, what about these other guys that had more? you have to take it very individually is all that I'm saying. And look, and I'm very sensitive to the CTE and concussion issue because I really consider a lot of the people in the league have been my friends, and I am worried about them.
Okay, so are we. We appreciate you so much for joining us. We need to do this again, especially because you didn't stab a guy in the lung.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean, Doc?
Sounds good. Anytime.
So I mean, look at what he said there. He said he would tell anyone, not just Tua, to stop playing football. If you want to avoid all that stuff, you got to stop playing football. He said that's not just a Tua thing. You would tell anyone. But I mean, you look at last year, guys. I mean, there were 271 total games played last year, and there was about 149 concussions, 150 concussions last year, somewhere in there. He just named people that have had multiple. You know, Tua wasn't the only one who had multiple last year. All we're going to say is if you're going to, but no one's saying those guys are one hit away. No one's saying T. Higgins is one hit away. No one's saying Kenny Pickett's one hit away. Kenny Pickett has had just as much head trauma as Tua has had in the NFL in a lesser amount of time. Just saying. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, everyone keeps, and I keep telling everyone, when you do the research, when you listen to these people talk about Tua, his the baseline of his brain by training camp is going to be right back to where it was before the concussion started. And what does that mean? That means his brain is going to have the same chance of sustaining a concussion as someone with a normal brain baseline who has never even suffered a concussion before. They don't compound. People keep acting like they compound. They only compound if they all happen in a short succession of time. Tua was never in a state where he was having to be in a dark room, couldn't watch TV, couldn't deal with loud noises, because that was never the issue. Again, I've been down this path with Sidney Crosby. I'm a massive Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Sidney Crosby missed over a year and a half of time due to concussion issues because he took a cheap shot from David Steckel at the Winter Classic when Crosby was having an unbelievable year that year. So, I've been down this road. I've seen the effects. Tua's going to be fine because Tua's nowhere near what Sidney was. And Sidney missed some legitimate time, and there were legitimate conversations about him leaving the game. And what happened? Went to a chiropractor outside of the team facility. They figured out the problem. They fixed it, and he won Stanley Cups after the fact. In a sport, a high-impact sport. Just saying. Guys, I'm going to be live tomorrow night, and we are going to go over my top 10 big board for the Miami Dolphins heading into the 2023 NFL Draft. We are a week away from the tampering window. Opens next Monday officially. So we'll get that first big board out tomorrow night. Wednesday, the finish line with me, Richmond, and Ball Game. Thursday, Fin Too Deep returns with me and Neil, and we'll get it going from there. So, guys, make sure you tune in tomorrow. I'll be giving you 20 names and some all 22 of players you need to keep an eye on for the Dolphins drafting at running back. Until then, everyone, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Fins up, baby.